Okay, so I chose to do my theory on the behaviorist theory. This is the theory that came from the area of behavioral psychology, which really did not have to do anything with education at all. Behavioral psychology is the idea that all actions, whether learned or unlearned by man or animal, share the same consequences. This idea was proven by Pavlov, or better known as Pavlov's dog. Pavlov's Pavlov was a psychologist who decided to ring a bell then give his dogs food. He did this over an extended period of time, and the dogs eventually became to produce saliva in the hopes of receiving food. The dogs became so conditioned that they ended up producing saliva every time the bell was rang, whether the food was there or not. This was came to known as classical conditioning because they paired a neutral stimulus with another stimulus in order to produce a response. Over time, they discovered a pattern would ensue whether the person was human or animal. Later on, a new kind of conditioning was discovered. This was known as operant conditioning. This is where a stimulus was learned, a response was given, along with a reinforcement. Over time, this eventually became a habit for the person receiving the operant conditioning. Behavioral psychology was becoming more popular in all forms of education in the 1950s and 60s, which included language learning as well. Since it was being applied so frequently, psychologists Watson and Skinner came up with the behavioral theory, which is behavioral psychology plus language learning equals behaviors theory of SLA. The L2 language learner is the person that is being conditioned. The behavior is verbal behavior. The stimulus is what is presented or taught of the L2 language. The response is then the learner's response to the stimulus, i.e., what is being presented in their L2. The reinforcement is the key because it is the approval of both the teacher and students. Over time, the student's behavior is going to be shaped if the classroom is loving and supportive of their learning. The student's language will grow and flourish. Whereas if the student's classroom is negative and mean, the student will begin to not respond to the teacher's stimulus. Overall, this theory is about conditioning. Teachers focus on this theory on imitation, reinforcement, and habit forming. The classroom idea I had was individualized spelling. This was a concept taught by Dr. Roberts, now Dean Roberts, to my reading methods class. I love the idea because it allows students to take ownership of their learning and not be too repetitive or boring for them. This method has a 5-day program, but there is first a starting point. The starting point is where children's writing should be done and collected on a weekly basis, then moving towards a daily basis. The students become accustomed to it. Start basic. Favorite thing they did or what is their favorite food. Move towards more detail. Events day by day. Then add even more detail day and night and each day of the weekend events. Add even more day, afternoon, and evening events and every day of the week. It is a progressive step-by-step program in which the children can look back and view their progress and their writing. The patterns in their writing will begin to show once you move to more detailed forms. Day 1. Weekend writing journal is collected and looked at. Take the curriculum spelling pretest, say the word, use the word in a simple sentence, then repeat the word. Check the spelling list. Circle the ones that are incorrect in any color besides red. Create a new spelling list along with the students. You and the students will add words to the list from their writing journals. The students look at the student's spelling notebook, put stickers on the words they already know and are correct. The student will not spell these again for the actual spelling test because they are already correct. That is why you and the student go through the word list and pick new words to add. Day 2. This is a teaching day. Students must copy words from their spelling notebooks on note cards. These are the words the students spelled wrong, as well as the new words that were put on by both the teacher and student. The front of the note card has a spelling word and the back of the note card has the student's name. Then the students will place a rubber band around the bundle and place the word into their Ziploc spelling bag. The students will be placed with a likability partner that they will stay with all year long. Partners will then teach each other how to read and spell their spelling words along with them. Day 4. This is known as a practice day. This is known as a practice day as well as a two-peak day. The students participate in targeted practice. Students have partners. Both partners know how to spell and read one another's words. Students are allowed to choose how they practice, either that be a whiteboard, foam letters, paper, magnets. They choose whatever they want. Then they begin to practice. The partners hold up the note cards for one another and allow their partner to spell the word without seeing it. The students are allowed to have two peeks. If they are struggling, a partner is allowed to show them the card twice. Once they spell all the words correctly, it is the other partner's turn to spell their words. Once completed, partners check their spelling list to make sure all the words are correct. Day 4 is a practice day. This is also known as one peek day. It is all the same steps as day 3, except the students only receive one peek. Day 5. This day is test day. The partners will go out into the hall monitored by the teacher, and the students will give one another their spelling test by taking turns. One partner goes first and the other one goes second. The teacher will only grade the students' mandated words on the school mandated worksheet. All other words are bonus words. The other words on the school mandated list that are already correct from the pre-test day will then be added to the test day mandated words for the student's final grade. The school grade level I was thinking was 4th grade novice learner, because they are more apt to be more ready for the English language and know certain words of the language as well as the letters of the alphabet. The content area is spelling, the curriculum and grade level spelling words for that specific grade. Some strengths and weaknesses I thought of. Strengths: students will receive more spelling words as they expand on their vocabulary. This focus is heavy on repetition and conditioned response, which is what behavioral theory is all about. Students take on the role of being a teacher when participating in it. It lets them take ownership of their learning. Some weaknesses are: this idea is a lot of work and takes a lot of practice and preparation on both the teacher and students' parts. The program is very repetitive over the course of 5 days. Students may become disinterested in their words and not fully engaged in learning them. Students may not be able to handle the responsibility of giving their partners a spelling test. They may cheat and allow their partners to look at the words. Some reservations and questions about this I have is that this takes much effort, and being an L2 English learner, this concept may get very confusing for the student. They may not understand what this means and are unsure of how to explain what they are confused about regarding this concept. This idea may not be functional in an ELL classroom because of the complexity of the concept and how much goes into it each week. Even though it does expand their vocabulary and spelling knowledge, it may be overwhelming coming into a new classroom, and the students might not gain the knowledge that you want them to from the individualized spelling test because they are so overwhelmed. Reinforcement is key, and if the student is not being understanding and receiving negative reinforcement constantly by their partner, the student will not expand their knowledge of the spelling words. And I will place the YouTube link right in this location for you to look at. And I will also attach a copy of this document to the Blackboard link so you can see all my citations and all my work.